Our guest has turned the YouTube editing scene on its head with over 1 billion views generated with his videos.
They want a real connection. I mean, it's really all about that.
He got to start broke, $50,000 in debt, and spending countless hours working on $200 projects. Instead of focusing on crazy effects, he emphasizes the importance of editing psychology and the invisible decisions that keep your audience hooked as if they were hypnotized.
If you can make the client feel something that they didn't feel when they watched the raw footage, you have immediately ascended into a different tier of editor.
Go from battling on the marketplace for price to being an irreplaceable part of million subscriber brands. Editor Josh, welcome to the show.
How you doing? That was incredible, dude. Oh my gosh, straight off the dome, like just no mistakes. Incredible.
Thank you. First of all, we'll start off with a quick softball for you here. For people who are new, what is editing psychology? They hear that term and they don't know what that is. So what do you consider editing psychology to be?
Editing psychology is simply approximating where the viewer is going to be at in the story and trying to build those moments around, okay, the audience is probably going to feel like this, so that means I need to do this. And I feel as though a lot of editors, they'll kind of go through the motions and they'll play it safe with certain things. And so they'll say, okay, well, this is the trendy style that's going on right now, so clients want that. But what that does is kind of put them into a box, and so they kind of keep their rates at a smaller level.
What is maybe one of the biggest mistakes that you see being made, that early editors make, and then it ruins either the tension or the flow of the story?
Trying to impose so much of their own personality on the edit that the creator can't see themselves in the edit. It's the weirdest thing, because I understand what it's like, because I've worked with new clients before, and the first thing you want to do is just be like, okay, they're paying me money, I need to justify my value, so I'm going to do a bunch of crazy things here. I'm gonna try and beat the last guy. That's true. The whole thing. I got to beat the last guy, or else I'm gonna get cut off. But what happens is now the audience sees a video that's unrecognizable, and they can no longer see the creator that they originally watched for. And so I feel, and I call it it's like a pick me girl attitude, like pick me. Yeah. I notice me. And the clients can feel that. They can feel that insecurity. They can feel that you don't feel confident in your decisions. Whereas the elite editor would come in and just be like, okay, here's how we're going to do things. And the client sort of takes like this passenger seat role where it's like, okay, well, let's watch this guy work. It's the difference is night and day, and it allows the client to relax. That's kind of the biggest compliment that I always see the elite editors get. They will have a client say, wow, I can finally just watch this passively instead of watching it for mistakes.
Yeah. What's the difference between the noob editor and the elite editor? What's that difference, and how does somebody bring that elite level to their clients?
Well, I do want to get one thing out of the way, because when people hear elite editor, they assume this is the best editor in the world, which I don't look at myself that way. I don't look at even the best editors that I've seen that way. There's always somebody that's just going to come through and absolutely destroy you. So there's no point in trying to compete for the top of the top. When I say elite editor, you don't even technically have to be the best in terms of editing itself. That's the weird thing. It's like they'll think that means they don't make mistakes, they don't do X, Y, and Z. No, it's simply intentionality. The difference is that when you are looking at an edit, you're thinking from a purely client outcome standpoint. So instead of just thinking, okay, I'm going to make something that looks pretty and kind of hides the fact that I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm going to throw a bunch of templates and a bunch of plugins and presets to hide the fact that I don't really know how to tell a story properly. Elite editors focus on the outcome that the client wants. So outcomes could be, I want more sales for my product. I want a deeper audience connection, even with less views. I want a cult following sort of thing. And you can do that with the editing, even if two editors are given the same raw footage, drastically different outcomes simply on what goal are they focusing on while they're building it. I feel like a lot of editors, they have what it takes to make a nice edit. They kind of got the ladder on the wrong house though.
Yeah.
They're thinking, okay, I'm just going to accelerate how good I can do with like 10,000 plugins in my thing when you really only need 5. You could use 5 or 6 and get a crazy result and just get really proficient with them. But, and I do want to preface, I told you off camera, I think, but I do want to preface, it is a struggle for me because I do have ADHD. I will go all over the place. Feel free to reel me in.
Okay.
But that is, the funny thing about that is that I have ADHD and I have to fight my own instincts with edits. Because naturally I want to cut faster. Naturally I want to do too much. I want to show too much. I want to overstimulate the brain. So I have to fight my own urges in order to produce a better outcome for the client.
Yeah.
So
I can definitely see that difference between your older videos and your videos now. Your older videos where there was this shot where you were on the escalator and you were talking about Mr. Beast's editing, right? And you had had all of these different crazy shots and, different cutting back and forth. And now I feel like it's more of that educational style. So one of the big things that came to mind when you were talking, the elite editor focuses on the outcome, but how does that reflect in the editing style? What is the editing choices that outcome is gonna, that's gonna be reflected in that outcome? Say somebody wants to generate more sales, what does that editing style look like?
Well, first of all, the editing style. So it's kind of counterintuitive, I guess, because in the editing niche, right, you have to show that you're good at editing. So on my editing videos, I have one of our students from Elite Editor Academy. She does all of them because she showed such great, just incredible skill that I was like, wow, I mean, I don't want you to just go through my program. I want you to be on my team. So the thing in the editing niche in particular is that, you kind of have to appeal to the people that are still in the mindset of, I got to do a bunch of flashy edits. So you pull them in with the flashy edit, but then you kind of tone it down a bit and realize, wait a minute, there's more to it than that. There's actually value here. So I would say in my specific niche, it is a bit of an exception. Now I'll say for most other niches, which is the question that you're asking about, in most niches, you're going to want to tone down visuals as much as possible and keep it as simple as possible. You're going to want music that's not very imposing, something that doesn't feel like you're tricking the viewer into feeling something. You want it to feel so natural that you barely even notice the music started, but it's still, when you notice it, you're like, oh, it has impact. It's not cheesy. It's not corny. It's not saying so over the top, and you essentially would edit the same. If your goal is maximum sales, you would edit the same as you would if you were editing it for a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old, because they want mature, they want trustworthy. They don't want loud and obnoxious, because that signals to them, okay, this guy is the flash guy. He can't really, I'm not going to trust him with my wallet. I'll trust him with maybe a tiny part of my wallet, not a big part.
They don't want the flash. They don't want the flash.
Yeah.
They want Superman. They want Superman.
They want a real connection. I mean, it's really all about that. I mean, and I've been noticing it more and more. I don't know if you felt the frustration where you go through and you see all the AI stuff, and now you can't tell which videos are real, and like somebody gets punched. It's like, oh, do you really get punched? I don't know. People are kind of looking for an escape from that because we're just trying to get back to humans connecting with humans.
Yeah.
So
just to touch really quickly on that last part that you said, because I think that it's important. How big of a part should the AI have in somebody's editing, and how does somebody foster that connection between the viewer and the person speaking?
Well, you almost asked 2 questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was 2 questions. Actually, can we focus on the second one then to start? How do they foster the connection?
It's the weirdest thing. So clients will have this idea that if they reveal a bit too much of their real authentic self, it's going to drive people away, which can be true when you're talking about the intro of a video, or you're talking about the trust building segment of a video, like the first 3 minutes. I can understand that, but you still want to leak a little bit of it in there, because if you try to hide all those mess ups and blunders and all that stuff, you've essentially stripped the humanity out. Because what does AI do? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect sentences, perfect dialogue, perfect analogy, and it's so perfect it's weird sometimes. Now, it gets to a point where when I find a client do something in the raw footage where it's like completely stupid or moronic or funny or whatever, they may feel like, that's kind of embarrassing. I don't want to show that. And I can't just simply say, oh yeah, we'll just show it anyway. It goes back to the psychology thing. I have to literally break it apart like a puzzle and explain to them, okay, look, you want more sales. Okay. How do you get sales? You get it with trust. Okay. How do you get someone to trust you? Show that you're not a stiff. Show that you're not just some robot that's trying to feed a bunch of lines through to their subconscious and then maybe they'll buy something. No, show them the failures, that sort of thing. Like that's why in some of my videos, I mean, even if I don't want to talk about it, I will still address a failure. Like, hey, I did this stupid thing last week, or I did this thing a year ago and I still regret it to this day. Don't do what I did. But a lot of people, they are not comfortable showing that they make mistakes. Like I screwed up a bunch with this call, like trying to get this freaking webcam on. I got freaking tape on it, trying to keep it up. Like, so showing the client's personality and realizing, and I'll say one actionable way to do that, which I love this one, especially when you're onboarding a new client, like bringing a client on for the first time, is making a PDF that goes bullet by bullet on certain things about what they're doing with their face and what they're doing with their mouth. And it sounds weird, but you essentially signal to them, whoa, 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 whoa. Like no other editor I've worked with is doing this. You're like analyzing my face. So when I first worked with the client recently, like a few months ago, he had this thing where every time he would come on camera and he would be saying something devastating, like, oh, I got this pulsing headache. He's like, oh, I got this pulsing headache. But on screen, he would be like this. I got this pulsing headache and it hurts so bad. And he's got this big smile. So I'm like, what the hell are we doing? I don't feel the pain from that. So I had to tell him, because he kept doing it throughout other parts. I'm like, if I'm the editor trying to build tension, Mr. Client, I need you to sell it with your face. Now, I'm not saying to overact or anything like that, but at least scrunch your face up like, oh, my face, you know? So I will literally coach clients on how to have better on-camera performances, because with a better on-camera performance, the editing gets 10 times easier, because now you're just kind of polishing gold instead of a piece of crap.
Yeah, that's very well said. I was watching one of your videos the other day where you were, doing the Mr. Beast thing, right? And you were talking about how the cinematographer and the editor are very connected, because it's like, how can you make a shot tense if the actual shot itself, doesn't have that much tension? So I think it's really interesting that you pointed out too, that it works the same way with the client, that sometimes you may have to coach them. And even for the people listening, that's a piece of gold right there, because that can make you stand out, in the space.
Yeah, no client is going to see that and think, oh, this guy's amateur. Like, it erases it completely. You are now in a different tier of editor from that moment forward. And I did want to clarify real quick. You mentioned the cinematographer. In that PDF, I'm talking about their facial expressions and whatnot, but I also have a section for the cinematographer on, we need more shots like this. That one shot you did of this is excellent. Lean into that. So I've always hated when you get feedback from somebody that's purely negative, because it's demoralizing. I like to put, this is what you did amazing. This could use a little work. This was amazing. This could use a little work.
Is there changing in the way that you operate, so whether that be, making, like you said, a PDF or note pages, is there any certain little tricks that people can do that will make them come off as more professional than
okay,
than somebody who would just get the footage and then edit it and send them back, right? Is there any little is there something that the editor can do that makes the client feel more special, or that they're being more professional?
Absolutely. Okay, so I feel like a hypocrite saying this because everything went wrong before this interview. Cameras destroyed, mics destroyed, everything's destroyed. So don't do what I did in this particular case. But I would say that the biggest thing, so just a little context for the audience that they may not know. At this point, I am an editor, a client, and you could say a business owner. That could be the same as client. But so basically, we'll say two different sides of the table. So I've seen how it feels to be an editor dealing with bad clients, dealing with good clients. And I've also seen how it's been to be a client looking for talent, looking for other editors, that sort of thing. And the biggest thing I notice is that whenever I give someone a shot, they'll start off very, very confident, like, hey, I feel like I can make your edits 1,000 times better, and we can improve retention by 1,000%. And it's like, wow, those are great claims. Okay, here's the footage. And then they break.
Yeah.
It's utterly, they'll be like, oh, my computer's on fire. It's overheating. I can't transcode the footage. I can't load it in. How do you want this? How do you want that? And there's so much hand holding that it gets to a point where you're like, is this saving me time, or is it going to be more of a time sink? And clients at the upper echelon, like million subscribers, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, they're always trying to decrease the amount of supervision they have to give everyone. They want a guy that can show up, or girl, of course. They want someone that can show up and they don't have to worry about him. To the point where they send the footage to this editor and they're thinking like, this editor is going to find something that I didn't even think of. Let me give you a perfect example. Literally the other day, Ashley, my lead editor, she's fantastic. She sent me a voice note. And she essentially said, hey, you had a really good point in the first part of this video, because we're dropping a video soon. It's called $300 editor versus $3,000 editor. And it's going to compare the differences. Hired a guy on I think it was Fiverr or Upwork. I forget. But because we filmed this a while back. But I hired someone, paid them $300, gave them the same footage as me. And then we're just going to do a direct comparison. Obviously, we're going to keep them anonymous so they don't feel like bullied or whatever. Yeah. But it was a very interesting little experiment. But she said, Ashley said, hey, you had a really good point on the first line. I want to know, could you possibly re-record it and say it like this? And I think I could do something with the music to make it a little bit more impactful for that opening, because you want the opening point to hit really hard. I was like, damn. She went out of her way to ask me to re-record a line where a lot of editors, they're so scared about losing the job, they wouldn't dare ask the client if you could reshoot something. Or something like that. Totally. Now, you do want to be sparingly with it, because there are certain clients that are going to be like, oh, it's too late to shoot, I can't do this, I'm somewhere else. But something like that, where it's clear that you're not just looking out for your wallet. You're looking out for not just the client, you're looking out for the entire brand. Yeah. Because you care about how the final product is going to be beyond the edit. You're looking towards the value for the viewer. And so when the client sees that, they're like, well, geez, even if I screw up on something on my end as the client, this person's going to help save me. They're going to notice it. So I can actually do a better job on camera, because that's the other interesting thing I've noticed, is that when the client realizes that you're the editor that isn't, like a chicken with their head cut off, just running around, everything's on fire. Once they realize that you don't need like an extravagant level of confidence. You don't need to be like perfect, because confidence comes from proof, and you need enough proof to be able to, exude it, sort of thing. Yeah. But you just need just a little base layer for the client to be like, oh, this guy isn't just utterly destroying everything. Hold on, we might have something here. And that's your little foot in the door. So
Excellent, bro. I see uh another Alex Hormozy fan.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Of course, of course. No,
yeah.
I'm all up on that with you too, bro. It's a
Hmm.
very good way to think about it with the whole confidence and all of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I wanted to also touch on really quickly, just because even for me, this is something that I find myself doing a lot. And when I started watching your videos, you were saying, "Oh no, this it could be improved," you know, and that is
Hmm.
the music choice, you know. 'Cause it's
Hmm.
like EDM, trap music, how important to editing psychology is the music choice, because you're a big fan of the classical music, from what I can tell.
Hmm. The music choice, it's unfathomable how important it is. It is like disgustingly important. It's to the point where I've had edits where I've simply said to myself, I don't feel like spending 10 hours on VFX. I'm just not going to do it. But I'm going to put an extra 2 hours into the music,
Wow.
more than I would have. And I'll say, okay, that saved me 8 hours. The client is going to have a great experience. They're going to be emotionally moved more than
Yeah.
if I do this little cool thing. And so the music, I mean, it is just, I think one of the most impactful little lessons I got when I was Hans Zimmer, one of the greatest composers of all time.
I know Hans Zimmer.
I didn't like
Oh,
talk
yeah,
to
yeah.
him. I was at McDonald's. I saw Hans Zimmer. No, but I watched his film in a theater,
Yeah.
and there was a part during his interview where he said that the director was watching it and he was like, I don't know, Hans, I don't know, not really feeling the emotion here.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hans said, okay, I'm going to make some adjustments and bring it back. And so he brings it back to the director. The director says, my goodness, this is amazing. I got goosebumps. What did you change? And he said, oh, I turned the volume up on the music.
Wow.
And that's it. He didn't change anything else. All he did was raise it. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I don't know, did you hear about... did you hear Markiplier? He released this new movie, right?
The Iron Lung. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I went to see it in theaters,
Oh, you got to see it?
I got to see
That's
it.
sick, dude. That's awesome.
And I don't want to spoil anything, of course, but I will say this: when you know how you hear the trailers and that sort of thing right before the movie, well, when his started, it was at a lower volume than all the other trailers. It was noticeably quiet, to the point where everybody in the audience had been kind of whispering among themselves. Once the movie started, it was so quiet that people were afraid to even react to anything.
Yeah.
And so I found myself at certain moments where I was thinking, okay, I'm going to feel this certain impact. I wouldn't feel it as strong simply because it was a little bit too quiet. It wasn't whispering,
too quiet.
but it was just a little too quiet, and I couldn't get the goosebumps at certain moments. Mm-hmm. So, but once I got,
yeah. Wait. Is it okay? I hope you don't hear that. Is it okay if I open my door real quick? My dog is out there. He's kind of barking a little bit.
Absolutely.
You can hear that. Okay.
You're good.
There now.
Got some dog action. What's good, dog?
What besides the music choice could be a technique that improves the emotional impact of the music, because I've been trying to look at Rocky soundtrack, stuff like that, try and get some classical music, but it's just what else could I do rather than just the choice of music?
Absolutely. I'll say this: the music selection doesn't matter at all until you can watch your edit with no music, no sound design, no VFX. If you can watch your edit with nothing, just dialogue, and get an emotional response from it, you've essentially put the music in a position to now just enhance something that's already amazing.
Yeah.
So it's you have no dopamine triggers except the person talking.
Okay.
So it's
can I ask you, is that a technique that you use for your videos too?
100%.
You edit the entire dialogue first, and then after you add the audio?
Yes. Wait, you said audio? Music, right?
Yeah, music. Yeah.
There is never a case where I am adding music as I go while cutting things down.
Wow.
it's extremely inefficient because you don't even know what the story is until you've watched it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So I watched the videos bare minimum 3 times over. So you do the first pass, you're like, okay, I understand where the story's headed and where it ends. The second pass, you realize, okay, wait a minute, that one joke that I thought hit no longer hits on the second watch, but this joke over here still hits.
Yeah.
Then you watch it a third time just to make sure there's nothing wrong at all. And at that point, then I feel comfortable adding the music because I'm already dying laughing. And the best part is by watching it 3 times, your brain gets accustomed to the fact that there's no music going on. Your brain is going to start to have a preference towards certain scenes not having music at all because they'll feel so real, so authentic that you won't want to poison it by adding some track. Like there's even the best music track wouldn't make that scene better. It would make it worse simply because it's better without. Did you ever watch Oppenheimer?
I saw clips of it, but not the whole thing.
Ah, man. Okay. So look, Oppenheimer. So before watching Oppenheimer, I had a different position on this. I was like, don't go 5 minutes of constant music ever. Like, don't ever do that. I used to like think that to myself. I wouldn't really tell people, but I was like, don't go 5 minutes with constant music. You want to have musical breaks. When I saw Oppenheimer, I believe there was a scene where the music went on for 20 minutes straight.
Bruh.
And I felt so excited because of how they did it. So it was classical at the end of the day, mixed in with some electronic stuff. But what they did was they would have like slow tempo, classical. Then they would have high tempo. Then they would have something where it's just purely strings, just giving you anxiety and stress. Then they bring on this epic classical trap beat, and everything it would not stop, but it kept escalating tension to the point where I was like, wow, this is masterful editing. So that changed my perspective, where I realized it's actually not about like this amount of music is too much or this amount of runtime specifically is where the viewer gets annoyed or anything. It's more so about how much contrast can you have in your music, because that gives you an extra pass.
Yeah.
So when I have something that's soothing and then I have something that's aggressive, I can play music for longer simply because they contrast. Whereas what I see most of the time with editors, they will sound so similar to each other with the music that it'll just be like EDM, techno, another EDM, techno.
Yeah.
And so now it just feels like elevator music because your brain zones it out, but it also gets a little annoyed from it. Like the video feels endless, you know?
Yeah, there's no roller coaster that you're taking them on. It's just, it's the Love Boat, like you just like
just linear.
Yeah, linear. If there was one thing that somebody could focus on, one element of editing that would take them to the next level, what do you think that would be? And for example, I'll give you, is it storytelling? Is it sound design? Is it the video quality? Is it the motion graphics? Like, what would that be? It's
almost a bit bigger than all of those. So I would say if you can make the client feel something that they didn't feel when they watched the raw footage, you have immediately ascended into a different tier of editor. So there's different ways to do that. And of course, it's like the ones you mentioned, music, cutting, pacing, VFX, all that stuff. But for example, so let's say there's a scene that a client sends and it's clearly meant to be a tense scene. And so you would think, okay, let's add some action music. But if you can have the discipline to say, no, too easy. And you say, okay, what if instead of making this feel tense and action, can we make it feel tense and emotional and nostalgic somehow? And that is the way that I would do it, because when like one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten from a client was simply like, you made me want to do better on camera simply because of how you did that scene, because something was in that I didn't know was there until you showed it to me. So, and I always tell editors this, if you can explain a creator's if you can explain a creator's audience behavior better than the creator themselves, then they're like, wait a minute, like this guy is legit. So what I mean by that is, if you come on, like for example, when you came on here and you said, is that the computer the client got you? I was like, oh my gosh, this guy knows his stuff. If you can recreate that same epiphany for the client where they're like, whoa, this guy's, you know? So I would say that is the biggest thing. But out of all of them, man, the music is so high up there. I don't know. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
The music,
But
really, it influences
okay.
the side. Well, because
But if the story is bad, then it can't be the music.
it
So
is.
that's why I always fight it, you know?
Yeah, I think from hearing what you're saying, it's a mix of it, right? And I feel like there's a genre that I didn't add in there. Hold up one second. I'm gonna see if he wants to go outside, bro. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
I feel like there was another element that I didn't add in there, but in reality, it's kind of like a mix of elements, right? And I think it's definitely what you're known for is the emotion, like the emotion of the video. If they can get the emotion and make the client feel something through those different elements like story and all of that, would you say that that's the golden monkey? That's like the golden ticket?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you're just trying to make an extremely accurate, educated guess on both the audience and the client. So there's like little cheat codes that you can do. I mean, it was the craziest thing that I found out that when I would ask an editor, hey, is there anything immediate that you can change about your edit that will make your client like it more? They're like, no, nothing comes to mind. I'm like, really? So there's never been a time where the client said, I really like that you did this. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah. There was like this time he said he liked this and this time that. I'm like, so you didn't think to recreate that? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
And so when they start recreating what the client loved, they're like, wait a minute. Okay. The client likes when I use this sort of graphic when we start the scene. Okay, well, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to add a little fresh twist. So then now it feels like, okay, wait, he's not just stagnating. Every time I see an edit, I know that it's going to be something special. But it still feels like home at the same time. Because you don't, like when you start working with a client, you don't want them to feel like their entire identity is gone now that you're on. They look at the video, they can't recognize themselves. You want it to feel like it already lives on their channel, but it's just a little bit of a cut above what's currently on there. So
Yeah. So listening to that feedback, internalizing it is a big piece.
yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I will say, and this is where it goes back to elite editors where they stand out, is that they don't simply accept all feedback. They don't simply say like, okay, well, I'll do that. There's always a point where in at least every edit, I will have some point of pushback where I'm like, okay, we could make this change, but I believe the audience will react this way if we do this instead. And whenever you tie it to the audience, the clients almost can't say no because now they're saying no to the audience. It's like, what? So if you can just mechanically break it down and explain it to them, they're high likelihood they're going to, and when it pays off, they're going to now trust you for future decisions. So now there's less friction. So you don't really have to sell yourself at all because the trust is already built. You've already proved it. So.
Yeah, and you have a video. You have a video where you're talking about just that, like the steps in making a client say, or accept your advice, right? Or at least it's part of the video. And you talk about this breaking down of the psychology behind it and, how, they can feel good about that. For the people who are new to you, they don't know you, would you be able to maybe break that down and say that they want to give feedback, but they don't want to create resentment. They don't want the person to, just fire him, get a new editor, like how do you get somebody to agree with you changing that edit?
So instead of imposing your will on the client, because that's where the sharp reaction comes from, where they're like, who's this guy think he is? Instead of imposing the will, you simply pose it as an alternative solution that's in their best interest. Because if it's in their best interest, then now they feel like a fool to say no. So for an editor starting out, I don't typically recommend, just say, these 5 changes, garbage, dunzo. I don't want to do that because I'm elite. Like, no, you want to come on there.
He's from the elite. He's from the Elite Editor Academy. You know.
Yeah, I just joined the academy like a couple days ago. You can't talk to me like this, sir. I'm sorry. No, it's like you want to be. I would say, especially starting out, it's okay to say yes to maybe 90% of the changes, this and that, but maybe just pick one where you're like, okay, I feel like this one I can very strongly make an argument of why it's not so good. And like the one that you feel could be a grand slam, just take that and just be like, okay, look, all of your changes are fantastic. I really loved this one specifically because you're right. It made the scene a little bit better in this way. I love this change for this reason. The only change, I was curious if we could maybe implement a different, sort of solution for it. What if we did this? Because my line of thinking is this, the audience will feel like this. And it always goes back to just that little sequence of this is how the audience is going to feel. Here's why you should care. And this is what would happen if we did your method. Now, you don't throw them down under the bus. It's like, I could see why you would do this method. It would probably lead to this. And you don't want that. So let's try this.
Yeah.
It's always framed around that same formula every single time.
Yeah. They want this, it would lead to that. I believe the audience would like this better and it would lead to this.
Yep.
You know? Okay.
It just has a bit more credibility. But yeah, just be afraid of the I. Because once you say I, now they're going to be like, well, I have this many million subscribers.
Yeah.
I have, and so it's a hard battle to win.
For that person that's watching this and they're passionate about video editing, they want to make their career, right? What's one thing that they can improve on their next thing that would really bring forth, that next improvement? So I'll frame the question differently. What's a high leverage action that they can take that would be a small change but give them a big result? What could they change?
Why is it so hard? I feel like I already said it in the beginning, right? I would say that it would be awareness of your own emotions while watching. Simply just being aware. Yeah. So you get in this deadline thing, the client needs this and that. And so it's easy to turn your routine into like assembly style. Like, okay, let's just get this done. I'll cut a corner here, I'll cut a corner there.
Yeah.
I would say that, sometimes you may think you cut a corner and got away with it, but you didn't. And it's going to affect you in the long run. So what I would advise editors is simply don't just go, okay, that sounds good or that looks good. Go off of, did it improve the way you feel about the video? So when I add a graphic, sometimes I've had graphics where I worked on them for 2 hours. And then the final result, I'm like, that didn't really add much. I take it out, even though it's 2 hours. But it's the same with sound design. Sometimes I do a cool sound design sequence. I watch it back. I'm like, I didn't get chills. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't feeling sad. It was just neutral. So why is it there? It's not going to impress anybody. If you didn't feel anything from it in the first place, what's the point? So just simply be aware of your emotions while watching the edit.
How do you get somebody to feel the chills when you're doing the edit?
To get the chills, you typically just need to let them sit with a clip for longer than you feel necessary. So when there's a time in an edit that I realize is the golden moment of the edit, I typically tell myself, instead of doing more with my editing and all this fancy stuff, I need to do less, and I need to do whatever it takes to preserve that moment instead of watering it down. So when I'm working with, let me think. Oh, the ADHD's kicking in. I'm cooked.
No, it's good.
I lost my thought. Frick.
It's chill. Yeah, no.
Okay. What I think happens a lot is that they'll simply think, okay, this moment is over with. Let me cut away to the next scene. But it wasn't over with. It's like, that's why when you watch a documentary or interview, they have the guy talk and it's just like, I just lost my wife. And then he just sits there for a sec looking down, and then they cut away, or they cut to a shot of the hands and this and that. And so one trick I do like to use a lot is time manipulation, which is where you're simply reordering the story based on what feels right instead of how it actually was. And so there's been many times where I realized, okay, wait, this joke gets to the punchline too quick. So then I move the punchline back and I do a little bit more exposition, a little bit more talking to build up to it, so that finally when the punchline comes out of nowhere, it just smacks you in the face. Like what Ashley was editing the Mr. Beast breakdown I just did. And there was this part where I think I got so pissed off about one of the editing things they did that I like slammed the table. But because of how she cut it, it added like 10 times more impact because she cut, and this is one thing I talk about, you cut on the motion of the clip. So my hands were already in motion. You see like this? My hands were already in motion. And so when the clip starts, it goes boom, instead of like a big old wind up and then they can predict, oh, he's about to slam the desk. So little things like that where you realize, okay, wait,
catch him off guard.
Yeah. Like the audience doesn't know what the raw footage looks like. Only you do. And the client does. So you can tell whatever story you want. Now, obviously you want to be honest, that sort of thing. But I guess editing is sort of just stretching the bounds of honesty the furthest it can go without being an outright lie.
Yeah.
So, because you know, if it was all about honesty, then we would all just be live streamers, just no cuts, right?
Yeah.
So,
well said. That was a good one too.
Appreciate you.
Well, yeah. I think for me, right, that was everything that came to mind. You know, for people, for those who are new and stuff like that, Josh has an amazing channel. I would definitely recommend subscribing. Not only does he have his academy where he trains you up, but he also has a free segment. So there's like something like 12 videos in there. Free videos.
12 viral editing secrets.
12 viral editing secrets for you. If this conversation sparked your imagination of, oh, I want more of that, I want more of the psychology of editing, check out the free 12 viral secrets and check out Josh's channel. He's gonna, he always delivers. So
hey, appreciate you. And subscribe to my boy Mark. Subscribe today.